everybody, Camelia here. Welcome to a new video. Today I have a pretty short video for you and I will call it as an add-on to the first Genevieve blouse that review and tutorial that I made here on the channel. I'll put some links in the video description, but I really wanted to share with you this version of the Genevieve blouse from Designer Stitch. You know, I made a total of, with this one, 4 of this pattern. This one is one made in a crepe from Minerva, and I have really the first one that I ever made. This one was also a pre-test, actually. Is in what's the name? The fabric, oh, I cannot remember. Also from Minerva, gorgeous fabric. And this one is the one, the softer rayon. This one is a cotton lawn, and this is the rayon version I made during the tutorial that is here on the channel. And this one is a crepe from Minerva. This one is also Minerva fabric, is one of their exclusive challis fabrics. It's really gorgeous as all the other ones. I have made, I think by now, 3 or 4 or 5 of these fabrics, and it's such a soft and really great fabric to wear. This blouse, this version of the Genevieve blouse started with a picture that I saw on the internet, and actually I saw the garment also in a store here. But as usual, I know that the size that is fitting my shoulder is not going to fit my bust and so on. So I really wanted to try it. The original has an inverted pleat here in the front. It has some ribbing bands at the neckline. The back is finished with a piece of bias tape, and also I cannot remember exactly, but I think the cuffs in the original blouse or the inspiration blouse, those were they were much narrower. I think they were only the half of what I used. I knew that I had the Genevieve blouse, and the Genevieve blouse has a pleat here in the front that is getting folded to the left, but I knew that the pleat that is in the pattern, it will be really easy actually to pleat it also in other ways, because I have a center front here, and with that it's easy to play. So I'm going to show to you how I modified the pattern. I also, you cannot see, I'll try to put some pictures here. I also cut it with a straight hem and a split here, rather than the rounded hem as I have all the other ones with the rounded hem and you know, where is it? Like so. So in this one I will show you how I did the straight hem. I did it directly on the fabric, so nothing fancy. So I am going to show you I'll put the cam and show it how I change it. For the ribbing, this is you know, the normal knit in the round ribbing fabric that you'll find in the stores, and it was really difficult. I really didn't want to have the black. I was thinking to use one of these colors, so I used this one. It's looking very, actually it's more this one. This one is looking much lighter, I think, in my cam. But yeah, it was really fun to make. And also for the sleeves, to get the length of the sleeves, I used the long sleeve that is made in the pattern to be turned up. So this version I used it, and I ended up by cutting a few centimeters, because I added the 5 centimeters wide cuff. So my advice is, if you are trying to make this and you want to have the long sleeve with the cuff, cut the sleeve as per pattern for the rolling up cuffs sleeve, so the longest sleeve on the pattern, and at the end try the blouse on, and based on that decide how much shorter you want to have for the cuffs you want to add. So I think that's the best, instead of measuring stuff, because you have the chance to mess up. Yeah, so this is it. I hope you'll enjoy this little tutorial. If you have any questions, put them here in under the video, and I'll do my best to help. It's a really easy pattern change, and actually I think it does give a totally different look of this pattern. And you know, if you have the pattern, you have it fitted, maybe you made it already one time, it's really nice to get a little bit more of out of the same pattern. So I will change the cam and explain you how I did these changes. So I have here my blouse. I took it off so I can show you a few things. So basically you have the bands. Let me reposition it a little bit. You have the bands that are coming here in this line, and then they are coming all the way up, and here I have a piece of bias band. Actually is a piece of fabric cut on the bias from the same fabric. I'm just going to turn it so you can see it from the inside. For finishing this at the shoulders, you have a few possibilities. I did the really fast and dirty one. So this is how it's looking from the inside. As you can see here, the pleat is an inverted pleat. Here is the bulk of the pleat, and on the good side you see the opening, or the, you know, this here. It's a little bit difficult to see in this fabric. The tapes are done by sewing machine, and then everything is finished with the serger. To finish here at the back, I cut the yoke is cut in double layered. I did finish here nicely the inside, you know, with the bagging method. But for the neckline, I finished first the back neckline with the bias cut fabric. This is the beautiful label from Minerva. And after I finish this, I stitch it together with the front at the 1.5 centimeter seam allowance. And then of course I got here the shoulder seam. And to be sure that from the front is going to look nice, you know, I did see this in a lot of ready-to-wear garments. I just pressed everything to the back, the shoulder seam to the back, and then did a little bit of top stitching here from the outside, and now everything is staying in place and actually is looking really, really nice. And I'm going to show you also another method that you can do, that this bit is getting here enclosed. But again, from the right side is looking really neat, and you cannot see anything here. So everything started with, of course, I thought about the pattern, and I changed it a little bit in order to achieve this, and I made a sample, and this is my sample. To give you a little bit of measurements, the tapes that are getting used here to finish this are, let me see, 2 centimeters, because this is what I have to work from the pattern. I'll show you in a minute. 2 centimeters plus the 6 millimeter seam allowance, so 2.5 centimeters, 1 inch, let's say, that you need to cut your bands. And as the length, of course, here you have also 6 millimeter seam allowance, so you have to measure from there and all the way to the shoulder. The shoulder has a 1.5 centimeter seam allowance, so let's see, from the seam from here should be around 27 centimeters. And if it's too long here up, it's really okay, you can trim it off. So I don't know, let's say 28 centimeters. But again, you need to measure your neckline, and the width of this must be 2.5 centimeters. Why the width is important? Because the width, the bands needs to fit, of course, in the pattern that we have. And the Genevieve blouse is giving us the possibility to work with a 2.5, so included the seam allowance centimeter knit bands that we can add. So this is the original pattern from my Genevieve, and what you need to keep in mind on your own pattern, I'm going to put something here that is staying in place. Let's put this away. You have here center front line, very important to mark. And this is the fold line, the second line, but this is, for this is not really important. What is important for us in this pattern mix, we need to have the center front line good marked on the pattern. So I have here the front piece of my original Genevieve blouse. As you can see, it has some changes. The dart is moved up a little bit at the point. But what is really important, so you have to trace your original pattern again. And very important is to have marked your center front line. As you can see here, this one is much cleaner. I have the center front line marked, really important. And you also have to make a little mark how much down you want to sew that inverted pleat. As I showed you here in the front, there is an inverted pleat, and the bulk is here on the back. I sewed mine 5 centimeters down, so you can make a mark here or whatever, how long you want to have it. I have it on 5 centimeters. And to get the bends on the neckline, again the original neckline is getting a little bit shaped here, but we want to have it straight. So what I did, I copied my pattern, I traced it on a bigger piece of paper, and before I took it out, I just draw a line straight. So imagine that this one was traced on paper, so I married the point from here straight all the way here up to the shoulder. And you can see that if I'm doing this, I will get a little bit of extra length here at the shoulder seam. So that means that also the yoke is going to need to be adjusted, because my neckline is going to get a little bit more in. But that is okay, because we'll have to change the back anyway, because we are adding here 2 centimeters that from the bend that are going all the way up to the shoulder. So for the front, I just straighten up the line all the way up to the shoulder here, cut it straight, and this was the front. The front was done. For the back, of course, the most important thing is that the shoulder seams are going to be the same. And if I was to put, let's turn this, if I was to put this front to the back, let me see, oriented correctly. If I was to put the yoke to the front now, it will almost fit. Actually, it's fitting pretty nice, but let's see, like this, it's fitting at the 1.5 centimeters. Actually, it's fitting pretty good. But what we need to think is that my front is actually coming 2 centimeters here to the side because of the bend that is going to get attached. So let's see. So my pattern, the back, so this is actually my finished shoulder line. So that means that my little back is not going to fit anymore. As you can see, it's much shorter. So to do that, I traced the yoke again, and I added the 2 centimeters, as you can see here. And actually, after I added back to my front and measured a little bit, I noticed that I had to add a little bit more. But that's really easy. You just add here what you are adding with the bend, and then be sure to walk the pattern to see if they are going to fit, and otherwise make the change and then blend it back into the rounding here at the neckline. So this is it for the changes. To get the square hem here, I just laid my pieces on the fabric, and I just continued my line all the way to here, and then came down all the way to meet the other line, and this was my line. I made here a slit, and that's why I have the openings on the side, so also really easy. So now a few things about how to put this together. First of all, what you need to do is to reinforce these corners here And you can do that by adding a little bit of interfacing, fusible interfacing on the corner, and then make a few stitches here exactly in the corner, because this corner here is going to be you have to cut to the stitching line, not through it, in order to attach the bands. So you start by reinforcing your corners. You can choose to sew the dart now or later, but the corners needs to be first reinforced. Then you have the pattern piece that is cut. It's per pattern instructions on the fold, and you have to, the next step is to stitch on the center front mark from here up 5 centimeters down, or at least I use 5 centimeters. And after you sew that, you have to open the pleat and to press it flat, so that will give you the inverted pleat here in the front. And after that, you have your bands that we said they are 2.5 centimeters wide, and the length of your neck opening of your neckline, plus of course the seam allowances. Don't forget, here down is 6 millimeters, and the pattern has a 1.5 centimeter shoulder seam allowance. So 2.5 centimeters wide by the length of your neckline, including the seam allowances. And it's actually, you know, it's pretty easy. I have here the one that I was working on. So what you will do, of course, you can choose, you can sew first. And one thing about the ribbing, you can choose to cut it either way, with the most stretch like this or like that, it doesn't really matter, but it needs to be 1-on-1, so not smaller or anything. So I chose to sew first the shorter end, and of course you'll align your fold of your band here at the center front. You sew it to the corner, you cut the corner, and then you turn it. You'll be able to open the fabric and you sew it all the way up. This is a little bit shorter because I did cut it a little bit. So, or you sew first from the shoulder down, the band is in 2, you sew from the shoulder down all the way to the corner, you make a snip, you turn it, and then you sew the shorter end. What is very, very important is, of course, to cut all the way to that corner here, that you'll avoid any puckering or something like that. As you can see, my needle was really, really bad. It gave me a lot of snagging in the fabric. That's why I had to quit on this. And then you repeat for the other side. Again, start with the folds exactly here at the center front. They should butt together. For the neckline, for the back, you have two possibilities. You can do as I did. You can finish your back neckline with bias band. I used, in this case, let me see, I think, where is my ruler? For my neckline, for the back neckline, I used, how wide is this? 3 centimeter wide bias cut fabric. So 3 centimeters wide, and then sew it, wrap it, and then wrap it again, and just top stitches. So you can do this, and then sew the shoulder seams together, and top stitch a little bit, that it will give you a really nice flat finish. Or what you can also do, and I did it here, you can sew the one step of the binding onto the yoke, as here, with a 6 millimeter seam allowance. Let me come a little bit closer. So you sew, this is a little bit too close. You sew the binding, 6 millimeter seam allowance onto the neckline. You press it up. You fold then the binding to meet the seam here, as you can see, and then with the pressed binding like this, what you'll do, you'll put your shoulder seams together, right sides together, and as you can see, my band is coming all the way to the let's see, this is going to be my finished binding, as you can see. So my binding, my knit band is coming exactly here, and I need to keep in mind that I have 1.5 centimeter seam allowance. So at this fold, and instead of my tape is going to be folded so this is the other option that I showed to you. You sew now the shoulder seam, and then finish your shoulder seam allowance, and then press it to the back and top stitch from the front. But now, if you don't want to do that, you can unfold this, fold it over the band, and of course I'm just going to put a pin here, and just with the things, everything folded in place. Let me see, just let's see, where is it, 1.5 centimeter away. It's a little bit difficult because this is not sewn, of course. So you have something like this, and then you'll finish this with a serger or zigzag or whatever, and then the next step is going to be, you see, you pull this will be shorter, much shorter, because you'll be having finished with the serger or whatever, and then the next step is going to be top stitching the bias on the back neckline. Let's see if I can put a pin here, and this is also going to give you a really nice finish. Let's see what we get. So something like this. Also very neat here at the neckline. Again, this will be much shorter and neaten up with a serger or a, I don't know, zigzag stitch. So this is also very easy for the sleeves, for the bands, because I wanted something that is really let's see, put this out. So this is my cuff, and as you can see, my sleeve is of course much wider than the cuff, and I just quartered the cuff. The cuff is 5 centimeter wide, and I added 6 millimeter seam allowance, and I just measured my my hand, and that's what I used to as measurement. And I just quartered the sleeves, quartered the cuff, and then everything got really nice and gathered here. Just put it together directly with 2 needles on my serger. So these were the changes, really easy. Also the neckline, very easy. You have options to finish the back neckline, and actually you get a totally different looking blouse from the same pattern that you already have. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, it's really nothing to show by sewing, because it is actually really easy. And if you have any questions, again, please be free and write them here under the video description, and I'll do my best to help you. Again, a little bit of a caution here at the center, at the front, where the bands needs to meet in the center, and then of course the corners here that needs to be a little bit neat. But by reinforcing with a row of straight stitches and a little bit of interfacing, you always get nice corners here without too much problems. And always cut to the corner, not through it, to it, and don't be shy, because otherwise it's going to get a pucker here if it's not cut enough. But it's really nothing difficult about it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give me thumbs up and leave a comment. I always love to read your comments and to read your ideas about the things I'm making. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!